7. All right. Looking for artifacts here, there, everywhere. All right. Okay. Here we go. Oh. All right. Here we go. Let's see what this cluster is. Hey, minables. Interesting. Let's go. Let's go. Good deal. But this is a huge rock. 33 mass. Oh my gosh. I don't think it can punch above its weight. Not with this. No. That's a 33K rock. Would have been nice though. Would have been nice. A lot of Quantanium. Nope. No targets. All right. Oh wow, soccer is relevant in the U.S. That is news. Oh my gosh, they just keep punching above their weights. They keep punching above their weight, sir. Oh seven, Captain Stogie. That's insane. They keep punching above their weight. Oh my gosh. Good for the U.S. That's hilarious. They're trying to build the brand here for soccer for sure. The world's most popular sport, you know. Yeah, they're trying to turn that whole program around and actually bring more interest. And I think the more interest you can bring, yeah, then it may attract uh, more players, right? I'm not going to say better players, but more players in general to the sport. And that means U.S. as well. That in turn would help make them more competitive. Oh 07 Shimpasta. They're splitting a tie. It's a tie. It's a tie, or oh, the same standings. Are they in first place? Is that the key? Is that what it is? They're all in first place. Oh yeah, I've noticed over the years it's the popularity has grown, but not like it should in comparison to uh, other literally all other countries. I think we're the only ones who are so behind on what it really means in comparison to the world, literally the world. I think we're the only ones who are kind of just starting to get acclimated. Oh, nice. Yeah. Oh, that's going to be figured out very quickly, very soon. Whoever scores, they're automatically on team. I mean, that's a no-brainer. Whoever that person is who scores, oh, they're definitely got a spot on team. But it's Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Getting prepared for the fourth. It's coming up. Just seeing what I can find as far as UEC here, and then just turning it over, refining and turning it over, and prepping for the new patch. Preferably, well, hopefully it's next week, bar none. Run for president for not for Cloud Imperium Games. Oh no, we're um, above my pay grade, man. Way above my pay grade. Make 3-day weekends a thing. Oh, in some jobs it is that is the case, man. Some jobs they do 410s, and I think you have the most productive employees. No, 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 without question. Some of the most productive employees. I think it all depends on what you do, you know. But definitely with technology, you're not always required to be in office, other than just mainly meetings or training. And outside of that, the company gets to save money. But if it's a manager who's not sure of himself or lack confidence, he feels as though he has to prove, or he's the type that you got to micromanage, then he's going to require you to be in the office. Basically. Instability is 54%. It's going to be strange. Do the module, uh, make adjustments in the as you enter into that window early. There you go. Nice. Skip the oh yeah, and then that's another thing. That's one of the things that could really help with reduction in traffic, air pollution, all the above. Car accidents, road rage accidents. You know, you always think of, you split that. Road rage and car accidents are two different things. Yeah, how long are we going to keep getting these events? I think the events kind of, the purpose of them is just, it's a placeholder until we get uh, the major parts of the engines in, of the engine. It makes you wonder. Cool. All right. All right, so let's see. All right, so let's see. All right. Oh, seven Riz. Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely. You know, I like living on the edge. Um, almost full. I'll go back for that Terranite back here, and then head to the station.
Warning, storage full.
All right.
Fracturing mode on.
Okay. All right. Um,
Shields on.
wonder, do we get the roadmap update coming Wednesday? This coming Wednesday? I'm not sure. I believe so. we go.
Welcome to the ASOP Vehicle Retrieval System.
All right. Go ahead and
Your
store.
vehicle has been moved to approved visitors again.
Okay, the road map. Yeah, this Wednesday, because that's 2 weeks. It was the last time we saw a roadmap that was on the 18th. So, yeah, we're going to see the roadmap update this Wednesday, the 2nd. Should be pretty interesting. And hopefully, we're going to get some word on the release of 4.2.1. I think it'd be good for them. Crew. He gonna pass out. Yes. I want to earn that drink, man. It's a concern when it gets to me to 10, but I'm gonna earn that drink.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm here, man. '07 crew, how are you, man? Oh wow, that's a new way to walk up the steps. Dude is on his job. Holy smokes. All right. Let me get this, come on now. All right. 2 completed work orders. Go ahead and collect. Oh, it's full. Look at that. That's pretty good. That's when you know you're putting in work. Nice. '07. Now, I earned that drink. I earned that drink, man. Oh yeah. Dude, look, he was like, "Wow, that was refreshing." Definitely earned that drink. Oh seven.
Hey, oh 07, how you doing?
How's it going, sir? Yeah, man. I don't know. It's a weird time right now. You know, it's that that calm before the full on all go systems are headed to CitizenCon and beyond. It's like I think the difference this year is just keep working on the content to stabilize it. That's that's all anyone can ask, man. There's a lull. I feel it, but we can just get in here and get our UEC and keep going and keep moving in the game, then I think we're okay.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, overall, the game's pretty stable. Um, People are having fun, at least it seems like.
Yes.
It's just small things now. What I was saying earlier today was just uh, we got new content, but then when the other new content comes out, the old content breaks, and so
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of not a good thing. So
And sometimes it looks like the an old bug that keeps rearing its head.
yeah, yep.
Is this Rizzy? Is this Rizzy? Rainy and wet Monday morning. Oh my gosh. Yikes. Yeah, that's not how you want to start your Mondays, crew. But it can only go up from there. Things can only go up. Okay, I don't know who this is in front of me. Oh, it looks like he's in the org, man. Look at this. Look how they're dressed. Holy smokes. Look at that. Yeah, they're in the org, man. Look at that. That looks kind of badass, though. That looks pretty cool, though. I could see them in a desert location, arid, no water around. That fits. That's kind of cool. But yeah, I don't know what they're going to present to us when we're talking about what's the next thing. Are they going to go for it like the big ticket item, or are they going to just? I think I don't believe we're looking forward to more of that. What is that? The mission, the sandbox stuff, or
So,
are we okay with that? I don't know. I feel like we're burned out on it a little.
yeah, to be honest, I haven't played much of the sandbox stuff. But I do prefer the sandbox stuff because it's something we can do on our own time.
That's true. That's true.
What I was kind of researching earlier was the mission that's coming out in 4.2.1.
Okay.
Um, it's like basically different types of delivery missions. Like some involve FPS and some involve ship, uh, like
Cargo running.
cargo running, fighting, stuff like that. So there's something for everyone, but it is uh, a timed thing because it's only for 4.2.1. And
Oh, you mean like for live or just PTU, and then once it goes live, it's gone.
no, so in PTU it's there. So once it goes live, we'll all get to experience it if we don't have PTU.
Okay.
But it's just one of those time limited missions that gets you hanger stuff like ship skins and armor and stuff.
Oh, I think
And
that's kind of cool.
yeah, I think it's cool as well, but uh, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see how it is. It does seem very grindy.
Oh, okay. They're
My
gonna
thing
make
is
you
just
work
like
for it.
people just don't have time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the dis. I think that's the disconnect there because you're talking about working people. You're talking about what you have to do to initiate and get into game. It's
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
it's a game in itself. Just getting on, you know, getting on mission point, getting things prepped, and then you start the actual gameplay. So I think there's a disconnect there, in lieu of how they're designing the missions where you can do that. You do that on the weekend or when you actually have time off, but you can't just, it's not for casual gameplay. And I think that's where
Yeah.
they're missing the boat is if they can come up with some ideas that's casually done, casual gameplay style, then you'll have more interaction of people getting in. But I think, with that Area 18, that those levels where you
Hmm.
can kind of log off in the middle and then pick back up where you left off, I
Yep.
think it's
Yep.
something that I think that's a solution potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. I do too. Yep. Well, that's why I like the sandbox stuff because
Yeah.
the sandbox stuff we can do on our own time. If we run into too many bugs that day, you have the next day to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but let's see how the missions are. I actually don't know, but because I haven't been playing PTU. I just work's been like a lot lately. So
Oh yeah, that's a good
um,
thing, man. That's a good thing.
yeah, it's definitely a good thing. But I like to enjoy my summer as well a little bit. But
Balance. Yeah.
yeah, um, but yeah, so it's just kind of like. Well, it seems fairly casual, but there are a lot of tiers to it and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, all right, let's just see how it is. But and then there's the unknown of like how long is 4.2.1 going to be out? Like a month or 2 months or
Oh yeah.
like 6 months. And I just think that I mean I guess they need to do it because they need to test these type of things.
Well,
But at the same time, I'm kind of like, why don't you do it when it's in beta? Versus in,
yeah. I think there's so
but
much you can clean up. We kind of talked about there's so much you can clean up, and you think that you got. I think that they may be learning this, that
mhm,
they're putting in the effort to really, really clean things up. But there's always this instance of when you send it to live, and you're
mhm.
like, "Oh, I didn't see that. Where did that come from? It wasn't there in PTU. How
Yeah,
did that
yep.
happen?" So I think we were kind of hitting the mark on. I think we have to, or it would be better for them just to say, look, um, do what you can with bug fixing, but I think understanding what the PU is, it's still alpha, and I think
Mhm.
they got to start to treat it as such. It's not a live is not a natural game, right? It's
No,
not.
no.
So you got to go in with, okay, we cleaned it up, we've hot fixed in the PTU. Now we need to go ahead and send it over to live, and then that's rinse and repeat with the process of stabilizing and cleaning up because you're going to do that
Mhm.
anyway. CIG. I'm saying, why have these parallels when you still drop it to live? You're still going to be hot fixing.
Yeah, yep.
Shut that server down because I think if we get into the low of, like you said, we don't know when it's going to drop, but it's kind of like how much can you refine and clean it up, knowing doesn't matter. As soon as you drop it in live, you got a whole new set of issues to deal with,
Hmm.
and all that time you spent putting into holding that server and that server cost, I think that was a waste, and to some degree.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of unknowns. But yeah, I agree. I think they really do need to restructure everything. I've been hearing that Evo Codi's like not as engaged anymore.
Can you
Um,
blame them?
no, I don't blame him at all. I mean, I I haven't played Star Citizen. Like I hopped into it a little bit today, but I haven't played for like a couple of months just because of being busy and then
Yeah,
just trying to get it started is just a pain. So
yeah, yeah. It's quite the dilemma without really having major issues in a way because it's kind of like it's sort of like I don't know, man. It's a feeling. It's like the mm, it's there, you know. And I think
Mhm.
they need they need a pop of something, whether it be, you know, let's go with the flight model, let's go with the multi crew stuff because it's sitting there. It's just sitting there, and yeah, you're getting better with the stability, but
Mhm.
the sandboxes and all of that is still not the answer. Honestly, that's not the answer. It doesn't feel like it. I don't get super hyped when they talk about the sandbox and they're gonna add this. Maybe some other people. Maybe it's just me,
Mhm.
but it's not doing it for me in regards to like I gotta jump in there. If anything, I'm just jumping in here just to make UEC and see my numbers go up in you know UEC value.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
for me. That's the constant.
Y- Yeah, I think that they felt that focusing on quote features like these sandbox events will help, and I think it has helped.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've noticed more of the older crowd, like as in like the older backers, um, or the backers that have you know backed since the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing less of the playing now. It's kind of weird, and kind of
Oh
like the
wow.
newer folks are doing more of them. That's what I'm kind of sort of noticing. Um,
Interesting.
and the comment that I've kind of seen is, that let's just get all the tech in there finally, and that's where like I was kind of saying like Vulcan, for example, won't come in until they merge back into the main branch, and it's like CIG just so
Wow.
that's what with SigCon, I kind of just want it to be a conversation like state of Star Citizen, and they tell us
Mm-hmm.
how transit's going, how the AI is going,
Yeah.
the plan to merge into the main branch, and yeah, it feels like a lot of the older backers are kind of waiting for that, um,
Yeah.
because that's when it kind of really matters, anyways. Like,
That's when it matters. Yep.
yeah,
Or it feels as though that they're getting truly things done. You know, the
yeah,
sandbox stuff, it's okay, but you don't feel as though it's an accomplishment. It's a stopgap. And you know,
yeah,
until they start talking about, hey, wait a minute, uh, Planetary Tech 5, dynamic server meshing,
yep,
a new
yep.
solution we found. All of a sudden, oh, you got our attention now. What's going on? And it's not just to clickbait or how you want to call it, or just to draw
Mhm.
interest. It's more of the things we know that um, will make the game more substantial, closer to uh, a finished product, and something that okay, now we have the foundation. You know, base building is something huge,
Mhm.
where we can kind of say, hey, this piece of the game is mine, and I think that speaks volumes for MMOs, RPGs, that style of gameplay. I think it speaks volumes for being able to um, carve out your your space into the game and say it's
Yep.
mine, and then you can proceed to build that out, and that's meaningful. Meaning you don't have to put all these, you know, these hours into the game like some of the missions. But I think people would do that if they had things like base building and stuff that they're actually constructing, and you see it constructed and it functions and it's doing what it's supposed to do, and then all of a sudden you have this alt life. You're living on or off the grid, but
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
those things are substantial. Those are sustainable.
Well, and I think a step forward that they talked about in this and we haven't heard anything, is hangar modules.
Right.
Um,
I mean,
like that's like a step forward for base building. It's still attached to a hangar. Why can't we just wake up in the hangar, have a bed, and all of that stuff? And I think it's some of that stuff that they're kind of missing. Like you said, people are playing these missions. They did Wicklow. A
yeah,
lot of stuff's not account bound. They know everyone knows we're gonna lose it, and things have been lost between patches now.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but so everyone's kind of like, okay, how many Wicklow missions do you actually do? Once you got a couple of things, it's like
Yeah.
kind of grindy. Um, but yeah, it's like, where's our hangar modules? Let's just,
Yeah.
instead of spawning in a hab, let's just spawn in the hangar and call it a day.
Yeah. Is it? Do you think is it kind of like a disconnect that they kind of feel as though what we're giving you is great and you're enjoying it, and you have a number of players playing it, but at the same time, do they feel as though it's great, or is it saying, hey, you don't get us or you don't understand? It's kind of like a stopgap, and we're kind of like just looking at it and just participating participating just a little bit, but
Mhm.
overall it's kind of like, okay, I see this was new, okay, I had my moments with it, and now it's more back to, okay, what's next, or are we waiting for something that has more substance and they're not getting that? I don't know. Do they realize that's what's important? But
I don't. Yeah,
it's taking a long time, man.
it
It's
has.
taking some
The only
time.
thing one of the big trends I've noticed is CIG either from their own, from their themselves, or because the community pushes them, deviates from their original plan for whatever it was, whatever tech or base building or
Hmm.
whatever. They completely deviate either themselves because they think they have a better idea, or because the community pushes them, only to come back to their original idea. And I feel like they're too afraid to kind of just say, look, this is what we're doing. And yeah, some of you may not like it, but this is what we're doing, if that
Right.
makes sense. So
Yeah.
it feels like they waste a lot of time. I hate to bring up the flight model, but that's exact, they're just going back to the flight model before master modes, or this whole context
the
switching thing,
the
but just made
first
things
one.
slower.
Yeah, and I think that comes from Chris because,
Mhm.
but then I think there's a functionality behind it too, Shimpasta, because I said this earlier. You need
Mhm.
it because you're talking about piracy. You're talking about uh, procuring, stealing cargo. You're talking about mercenaries being able to apprehend, so they have to disable in combat. Uh, those situations are necessary for the career paths that is, or what we know as piracy, mercenary work, um, um, security detail, like you're you're disabling, and as opposed to
Mhm.
killing. Right now, everything is a kill. Everything is based
Correct.
on a
Yeah.
kill. We can't
Yeah. Yeah.
have that. We have to have mission parameters that says, "Hey, I want you to bring this person in because he did this particular he broke this particular law," and it's not he murdered someone. It's some other thing that's illegal, right?
Mhm.
And we got to bring them in, and that includes actual people.
Yeah.
So how
Yeah.
do you do that?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the question. Um, yeah. I mean, the only logical step I know is finish your tech.
They do what? Say again.
finish your finish your technology. So it's like, really make moves to get dynamic server meshing in, the planet generation stuff. Like get some of this core tech like working as fast as possible.
To put it the same way that you're seeing it, you're basically, you made a point of, why are you making these detailed adjustments on a system that doesn't truly support it due to desync, rubber banding, low server FPS, as opposed to get those pieces in, get Vulkan in, and then you're going to realize and see, wow, wait a minute, do the ships fly differently now? And then proceed to go ahead with the adjustments of how the ships properly fly, because now you have foundational parts of the engine that will support it in its best known light. And
Correct, yeah.
that's the part about it.
Yeah,
It's kind of
I mean,
backwards.
it is, and I think to be honest, it just goes back to what we always talk about, which is most of the devs are working on Squadron 42. So
Somebody got to do
There's-
something. Somebody got to be busy with something.
yeah,
But to defend CIG, maybe they need to have a working core of it so that they get a consensus to say, hey, this is pretty good. But they bring it over to Squadron 42 and it has much better polish because it's running off the basis of what players deemed as, hey, this is fun. I think I can only see that as the only point of why they're doing this as opposed
true.
to putting in the engine first.
yeah,
to defend
that makes
them.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I don't know how transparent CIG's ever been on this, but I think they're not going to make everyone happy, and I feel
No.
that they just need to come out and say, "We're just testing stuff, guys. Like the reason why we have another mission like this is we're testing this, that, and the other thing." And they're afraid to do that, I think, because they'll get backlash. But it's like they get backlash regardless.
Oh,
so-
it's a backlash anyway. I say
Yeah.
I keep using the word consensus, and that what I'm saying is there's a certain number that they want to say, or that they want to hear that, hey, I like the flight model. I think a success, to be fair, would be a 78% says, hey, I like the flight model. That's the consensus. That's a working consensus with the expectations that, okay, it's 76. Find out what the other percentage is saying, right?
Yep.
And then tweak, see if you can tweak, and then bring it up to maybe 80 or 85, 86%, then you're good. Because you're not going to please everybody, or you're going to have people complaining about it, and it's revealed that they have a 10-year-old computer. They'll never tell you
Yeah.
that. They're never going to tell
Yep.
you that.
Yeah, correct. I think the CIG should just do 80-20 for everything. That's like the golden rule. That's how
Yeah.
nature works.
Yeah, QA,
That's-
QC is a 10% check until they
Yeah.
have findings and they go deeper. So, I
Yep.
mean, yeah, I don't know, maybe that's a corporate metric that they are using. If they are not, I would say CIG, it would work and create the tools. And I'm hoping that, like with the flight model situation, they've up to this point have created tools where, yeah, they'll get that early feedback and they can bring it back with the tools that they built, make quick adjustments. But I think one of those things is Maelstrom. They're kind of giving us a little insight of transparency to say, yeah, with Maelstrom, we're giving you accurate weight of the ships, and the ships respond according to that weight, as opposed to us hand crafting it, which was inaccurate. And so it's almost to say, well, the reason why the flight model wasn't good was because we were handcrafting a lot of things, because we did not have a system in place like Maelstrom. But that's not going to resonate with everybody. They're still going to not like it. But hopefully by trusting that process or that tool, Maelstrom, and hopefully it bodes well and it works in a positive way that things kind of work out, and we say, oh, okay, that's the system. At least it's consistent, right? It's consistent.
Mhm.
And there's no argument about that because it's like, that is truly the weight of that ship. That is what it carries. That's how it performs based on these materials that you're utilizing. But I think within that context of crafting, you can put lighter materials, which then Maelstrom will recognize the densities, and all of a sudden you're creating your own flight model, basically.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much. Yep. Well, and I think this is why there wasn't as much pushback on where's the flight model after that inside Star Citizen or Star Citizen Live, because they explained exactly what you just said, and that's what they need to do. They like the transit system. I think they should give
Oh.
a 6 month update, even if they don't have anything,
Yeah,
because
it's
it's like,
needed.
yeah,
Again,
just like this server meshing or dynamic server meshing. Like,
yeah,
where just
yeah.
if you're still working on it, that's fine. Just tell us, though. I mean,
It's kind of what you were saying earlier. Okay, you're trying to alleviate the problem of, let's say, high volumes in these social areas, right?
hmm
I guess one of the better solutions or the things that could help alleviate, create interiors. I mean, a first fix to that would be give us interiors to all the locations like Area 18, Lorville, Orison, where you actually have an apartment that you spawn from. You know,
yeah,
that will help alleviate the tram systems of, okay, you're trying to, you have so many people and the communication lags and I don't know. But at some point that won't be an issue because we're getting bases, we're getting our own
hmm
homesteads. So I don't get it, man. It's kind of like you're gonna put all these resources into this, and we're getting base building. How about use that person for base building? I don't know, man.
yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, just like hangars, like they have to figure out a solution of overlapping hangars to handle the influx of players,
Yeah,
and it's like that was their solution because they couldn't just make like this really big sprawling, you know, spaceport, which
yeah,
makes sense,
yeah.
but it's like hopefully you can reuse that code for base building, but who knows? Or maybe they use the code for like the instanced, like campaigns and stuff
Hmm.
uh, from the hangar code. So hopefully they were able to reuse code. Like that's what I'm trying to say. But
Yeah,
but yeah, it's like it feels like they're band-aiding stuff that will ultimately get fixed if just the right stuff's in.
or not be used as much.
Yeah, or not be used as much. Yeah. So and
Mhm.
then what's Booth Boothroyd? I can't
Crew
say
through
that.
Ansuleus. He's like,
Oh yeah, right. I think
in my opinion, we will see a big step back from backers playing the closer we get to 1.0, at least playing in depth. As I will be doing that just so when 1.0 goes live, most things will be new and refreshing. So he's saying, hey, yeah, you can stabilize everything. That's great. I'll check in here and there. I'll kick the tires on it to see, where my system is at, how my key bindings work. But I'm not going to invest and put in that time when I know that it doesn't mean anything at the end of the day
Mhm.
because there's so many in-depth changes that my gameplay is meaningless until we see 1.0,
Yeah.
until we see the foundational pieces come into the gameplay that tells me what I need to do based on outside uh, influences like the economy,
Mhm.
supplies and the supply and demand.
Okay, let me ask you this. Do you think that they will do a beta that kind of just turns into a 1.0. So it's not like this really big 1.0 is out. It's cool, just update the beta and it's 1.0 now, and you have all
Yeah,
your stuff. Do you think that'll happen?
I think the way Chris is seeing it, I'll
Mhm.
try to look through his eyes and how he's going to officially call that. I think he's set out task. He's relying on Benoit and then other leads. So I think it's just gonna be like cargo. There's just gonna be blocks to be added, right? And
Mhm.
he'll keep a tally of those blocks that add to the engine, the features, and he'll get some sort of heads up, or he'll see the task board, kind of like see those blocks get checked off, and then he's gonna like hold everybody hold, and then there's like this pause of we're down to the last two features. So then he's going to
Mhm.
get marketing in, bring them in, we're going to get the leads in, and we're going to do a big promo on it. So I think it's more of knocking the blocks, checking off the blocks of what constitutes a 1.0. The big ticket items obviously will be your dynamic, the planetary tech, the locations. I think that's really key right there. For the most part, if those can come earlier or sooner, then he'll send that announcement out to say, "Hey, let's prep for 1.0 and call it a day." I think he would be willing to forego some of the things that, even though it's a part of 1.0, but if he has a number of a good number of the big ticket items,
Mhm.
he may have a call a meeting of a go or no go in that regard, especially if it's one or two things that are holding it back, and they know that it's closer than ever to being a 1.0 thing. So
Mhm.
I don't think he would hold it back as much to say, well, it's not 1.0 because we're waiting for these two other feature blocks.
Yeah, that makes sense. And which is why I think, you know, okay, let me ask you this. So if Squadron 42 is coming out next year, they have to get Star Citizen to a state that's kind of presentable. Do you think we'll see a beta next year
A beta
of Star
Star
Citizen?
Citizen? No,
Because
I
if
think because
Squadron's releasing,
yeah, it's releasing, but that's the thing. I think that's what
Mhm.
keeps Chris up at night is how will he explain uh 1.0 not being ready, but the release of Squadron 42 is ready. He, in a perfect world, he would have loved 1.0 and Squadron 42 both parallel as a parallel release,
Mhm.
but it's going to put so much more pressure on devs to get that side of the game done, which is the 1.0 side, because there's no way it's going to, because if they, come CitizenCon, right, the virtual one this year in
Yeah,
October,
yeah,
the
yep.
expectation is he's going to release, and I know people are rolling their eyes back in their head when I say they're going to release it December 31st.
Mhm.
It's no way in the world that 1.0 would be ready by the end of December of 2026. It's just way too much content. And the thing is, they're working on sandbox stuff when we don't have the content. We don't see them working on that content, knocking down those 1.0 blocks. I have we seen one 1.0 block knocked down? To be honest, I don't know. It doesn't resonate right now. All
No, yeah,
we've
no,
been
you're right.
yeah, I don't see one 1.0 block saying, "Hey, that part of 1.0 has been completed." And we're
Hmm.
more than half we're about well, we're more than halfway done with this year, right? So, it was funny how people were saying 1.0, man, that's the
Hmm.
next 5 years. Ain't no way in hell they're going to get it by next year, the end of next year.
Yeah, that's gonna be rough. I mean, this is why it's like if they were planning on that, we should be getting dynamic server meshing and 4.2 merged into the main branch by now, or at least they
Yeah.
start.
Yeah, like you said,
Um,
Vulcan. Where's Vulcan? Where's dynamic? What is the working state of dynamic? What else is well, we're praying and we're hoping for Nick's end of this year, right? But
Yeah.
it may go the way of 4.0 as the tech preview because there's
Yeah,
so many
maybe, yeah.
variables we don't see, right? What else in
Yeah,
1.0? The guilds, the orgs. It was so many far-reaching things as far as
Yeah.
gameplay.
Yep.
Did they
Yeah,
say
it's
base
not
building?
possible.
Did they say we were going to get base building in 1.0?
They said basic base building, yeah, like something.
Well,
Uh,
maybe the small structures.
yeah, the small structures. Yeah, I mean, Star Citizen. If you want it to be an MMO, it has to have some basic form of base building.
Yes, for sure.
So, yeah, that. But I mean, when you look at core tech, it's basically the other than dynamic server meshing and Vulkan, it's Maelstrom
Yeah,
and Genesis, basically.
right. Which is Planetary Tech 5, correct? Or
Yeah.
is that included into that? And then this, what is that? The economy system. That's a
Oh, that's
part
true.
of
The
it too.
economy system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where is that?
But we kind of have that sort of, right? I mean, that's the other thing. It's like, what do we have currently for our quote economy?
Is
Um,
it more of a static version of it? Because I always thought that Star Sim or the economy system utilized the dynamic servers for communicating prices of commodities and
mhm.
supply and demand communications across systems, right? So there's no variation, or and as things fluctuate in real time, the adjustments are set in real time. They're changing across the systems, like the 5 systems we're supposed to get with 1.0. That's what I thought
Yeah.
that the Star Sim was going to be like, where it's dynamically changing and altering in unison in accordance with supply and demand economy structure across all 5 systems. That's
Mhm.
what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Um,
a bug, crew. He said,
yeah.
where did my snub fighter go? It's a
See,
bug.
and it's like, where did it go? Why is it a bug? Like,
Yeah. You know, I was saying a long time a while ago that they could take this section and make it a mini hangar. Like it
mhm.
opens up over here, it slides up like a like those roller desk, or it opens up
Yeah.
like a hatch and you just fly right in and it's problem solved. But they went with that system and now it's just like it's problematic.
Hmm.
It's very problematic. I would create a mini hangar inside of it.
Yeah, that'd be easier to do at this point.
Yeah. And you're talking about in combat situations where you have to really do some quick maneuvering and you want to, do some combat with that thing to, engage the enemy. And then before you jump to quantum jump, that ship needs to dock with that constellation in a fast manner. And
Hmm.
that that existing I don't know what you call it, but this
Like
clamping,
docking.
yeah, docking system, man. You're sitting there trying to dock and you're getting blown to bits.
Yep.
Or you're gonna leave that ship there.
Yeah. Crew has a good idea. Make it a module.
Yeah, it should be a module. And I think that's the way to, because they're adding modularity,
Hmm.
it have it snap like a grid. When you get so close to it, you cut engines, it's gonna snap to the grid. I don't know. It's one of those things.
Yeah, for sure.
Decision makings, man. Decision makings, and then it's like the lack of making decisions. It's like just leave it, and eventually somebody's gonna complain about it enough where we'll eventually get to it. I think that's what it feels like. It's like reactive as opposed to being proactive.
Yeah, and I feel that I mean, they have to prioritize stuff, and that's where it becomes interesting because it's like,
Yeah.
why are they not prioritizing this stuff again, the core tech? Because
Right.
that's what everything's built off of.
And it's kind of like they're going for the low hanging fruit. It's like, oh, go ahead and make missions, make sandbox stuff. And people like, yawn. It's like,
Yeah.
I see your attempt here. I respect it, but yawn.
Yeah. Well, you know what's happening is that everyone's playing it. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people are playing it, especially streamers and PTU.
Yeah.
And then they get burned out on the PU when it's actually live.
Right.
And
Or you get people that's curious just to see what it does,
mhm,
and it's only short term. Those sandbox things are short term. It's not something that's going to draw you to. I want to come back, check the, as opposed to having a base. You want to come back, check it,
yeah,
go in there, do some maintenance, do some crafting, get out. But you're almost in there daily just to check on things. Whereas the sandbox experience, if you don't have it coordinated properly, you're less apt to go and do it again. You're like, it was
yeah,
all right. It didn't go too well, or it was too many layers of complexity, or the game was bugging out. Yeah, how about that. Yeah, I'm waiting for the new stuff in the next patch. What else you got, CIG? That's basically
yeah,
it. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
That's pretty much what's happening. Yeah.
I'm
So
sorry.
like with 4.2's worm mission, um, I was watching Soul Citizens earlier, and they were basically talking about, or someone called in and they were talking about when it first dropped, you could go in there with like 3 or 4 people and be fine. Uh, but now it's like the minute people know that worm's dying, they'll bring in like the capital class ships and 20 people. And so it's like you need like 20 people now to go do that successfully. Um, but I think you're right. If we simplify everything, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
There's nothing that brings people back in casually to, like you said, check on something, or
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, I gotta move the minerals to the refinery and move those to the whatever. So let me go do that really quick and then hop in and hop out. So we do need a place. I think that's what's missing.
Well,
We need a place that we can call our own.
well, now that you're mentioning this, and you made a good point about there's a working economy system, right? So
Mhm.
every now and then you should be able to look at your Mobi and say, hey, there's a demand for aluminum for this particular area, and it's paying this, and it's
Mhm.
timers on it, right? You can
Yep, yep,
simulate the economy system by going in and handcrafting small little tasks like that, and people will see that notification by going through their Mobi, and all of a sudden they're saying, oh snap, aluminum is 2 times the value of quantanium. And yeah, it's PTU, but still, you're like, I'm gonna go make that UEC, or
yep,
such and such station requires this much of tungsten because there are so many ship battles. You're going to salvage stuff because, or the materials for ships materials because
yep.
of it's a demand for ship materials because you need to build these ships. You can simulate the economy by upping the prices on supplies and demand that's needed. So I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
man,
But I feel like you said earlier, I think it's so static that that's even hard to do. So,
yeah,
um,
yeah,
which is why and so that's why again, like kind of circling the wagons again for sitcon. I really just want to see where is the state of Star Citizen, like where's the economy, like
yeah,
as in like not when it's coming or whatever, but like what's its progress, what's the progress of economy and uh crafting and base building and the org tools, just like what Cruz said, and the planet tech, and like,
yeah,
just tell us the update, even if it is, oh, we're working on it.
yeah.
We feel we're like 30% done. Like that's what I would like to see.
Do you think that they feel as though a lot of backers would not be uh, see that as something they want to hear or acceptable. That
Yeah,
wouldn't be acceptable to them, or it would cause a lot of backlash, or people would be ready to lash out and use that as a means to say, "See what I told you? They were never really working on this, or why are they taking
unfortunately,
so long?"
yeah, I do think that's why they're not telling us anything. I think they've learned just to stay more silent, and
Which doesn't help, but they're gonna do it regardless. I think the only
yeah, I
thing
mean,
is, yeah, it's just the lack of gameplay or engaging the game is actually what gets them off of their keister, or get them into the mode of, hey, all hands on deck.
yeah. But see, I don't think we can get all hands on deck until Squadron's out. So that's
I
also the
know.
flip
Yep.
side.
Yep.
But being optimistic, I would like to hope that this year, as in like before we go into the Christmas holidays, that we have some basic base building out because they have to test it, right? Like they have to test like
Yeah.
if two people try to build a base too close to each other, or
Yeah.
how does all that work?
Yeah. Will functions work like calling your ship and your hangar? Remember the BLDs, the little Taurus like trucks?
Oh
and,
yeah,
and
yep,
you
yep.
have that floating survey apparatus that you put on a small ship, and then you bring it down the ramp, and then you're
Yeah.
actually. I think we'll see that. That would be a good starter for it. That would actually get me excited. Get a lot of people excited that here we are. I think if they can announce that and show it off at CitizenCon,
Mhm.
wow. Okay,
Well,
we're working with something, man.
oh, absolutely. And I think they really do. They're already kind of working this way, but they just need to make it official. They literally just need what's it called? PU for anyone who wants a stable environment where you
Yeah.
can do whatever, and just the tech preview and call it a day, and throw everything in the tech preview. Like once it's tier 0, throw in the tech preview.
But you know
um,
what? I'm
mhm.
thinking of something now. It just hit me. This might be a precursor to base building. What was the three things that they talked about in regards to base building? That was when you build a base, there was three criteria that will be attached to your base. You remember that?
Oh yeah, I forgot what that one is.
Okay, it was three things. It was no security, low,
Oh, okay, yeah.
high security. And have you noticed that they said they're starting to ramp up more security in Stanton in
Yeah,
general?
I have. Yep, yep.
I'm wondering, is that the precursor for them to say, let's dial up high security and get the response times right, so that if we do create these, or we allow small bases, that security will be dialed up to a point where, yeah, your base is basically 100% guaranteed within Stanton.
Yeah. I mean,
I
yeah,
wonder.
it sounds like it. Hopefully, I mean,
Yeah,
it's super easy. They got two systems. One's lawless, one's lawful.
correct. Yep.
So when they do introduce base building, you can just basically have no security and full security, and then worry
Yeah.
about middle security later.
Yep. Yep.
Um, but yeah, I do think that they are working on a lot of different stuff that's intertwined with other stuff to get all of these features going. It's just that they just need to let us know where they're at with it. I mean, especially org tools, or I know now there's a big thing where it's like, hey, why is there no way for players to trade stuff with each other, like officially,
Right.
in
Right.
game, which kind of goes with the org tools. So it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
let's. That's why I think like, or have three branches. To be honest, have like PU, which is your stable branch, your service game, I guess, or whatever
Mm-hmm.
you want to call it.
Yeah.
Technical preview for stuff that they're about to release to PU, so they can
Yeah.
get good, stuff there, and then basically have like I don't know, like pre-preview. I forgot, I don't know, you can call it something else, but basically that's where they just throw everything in.
Yeah. I think that
Like,
shroud of secrecy that was the allure in the early days, I
mhm,
think it's not aging well.
no,
I think it's it's becoming a detriment to Star Citizen, as opposed to it was a hub of exclamating and of passion and excitement. It's like, oh my god, I can't wait to see. Oh, and it brings up hype. Now it's doing the
Yeah.
opposite. It's kind of
Correct.
like, yeah, it's saying, I don't have confidence in what you're doing. I'm wondering. It brings the question: are they capable of doing it? And it could be just the shroud of mystery, thinking this is a good promotional tactic because it's going to bring in so much attention or so much hype. When it's doing it's starting to do the opposite now, and it gets to a point where people will just say, okay, they decided they don't want to, communicate anything to us, and then the levels of care is starting to eat
Mhm.
away at the project to the point where, I'm hearing people, I'm getting into that Dune, man. It's gotten me a
Yep.
bit. I'm getting into it, and then you're having more IPs coming online, like
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto 6. And it's like, oh yeah, man, this Grand Theft is on fire. I'm getting into it. And you're looking at the numbers of what's being streamed through Twitch and YouTube, and it's kind of like, whoa, those numbers are getting low. When you
Yeah.
compare other
Yep.
games, it's starting to get low. Uh, mm,
Yeah. I feel like like to be honest, it's just communicate more and just be like, yeah, the community's a backlash. But
yeah,
I think there's a little bit of proof that we may not backlash as much. Again, with the fight model, they basically are like, hey, we're waiting for Maelstrom to finish before we debut the fight model. Um, eh, I think that's all we're wanting is just like, hey, look, the transit system's in this position and or this state, and
yeah,
these are the challenges we're having, and that's what we're working through. And then base building is at this stage, and these are the challenges, and that's what we're working through. And
yeah.
I think that'll appease people.
That's a scary thing, man, for them.
Yeah, the scary thing.
That's a
Yeah, I
scary
mean, it's
thing for
scary
them.
for anyone. But I mean, just if you look at how the software industry works, you have your alphas and betas, and then like release candidates, and then they finally release it.
Yeah,
Um, I think we're at the point where they have to unveil a little bit because we're so close to. I think everyone can assume that we're closer to a release than not than we have ever been, even if it is 5 years out.
yeah,
Uh, and
yeah,
so it's like like you said, they need to just tell us stuff. Like, or it's just like the Idris. Like they finally just debuted it because it was all done and just sitting there, and it was supposed to be a surprise, but then they're like, "Well, just get it out to the players," and now the players are having fun. So,
yeah. But I think they're they're going the way of calling out certain ships that's coming down the pipeline, like um, the Perseus is coming, as well as the Ironclad.
mm,
Now things can go wrong, or they can go off kilter and says there's a delay, of course.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I thought that was pretty cool for them to say, hey, we expect the Ironclad and the Perseus this year, and it sounded, it felt like they were, to me, it was confidence, not
yes,
just throwing it out there as like hyping it up for just hype reasons, but it
yep,
felt like there was a confidence behind that, like we're on track, man. We're gonna get this to you, and that's
yeah,
good.
yeah.
That's always good.
Yeah, and also what Cruz said in chat. I think numbers are going up on Twitch and YouTube. Like every time there's a new mission that drops, I think that's what's getting players engaged. But I think just like what they kind of said,
Yeah,
I think a lot of the newer players are more excited than the people who have backed from
yeah,
the beginning.
yeah. I agree because I had someone on yesterday, and they were fairly new, about a month in, and they were
Mhm.
just talking about. Well, they were going all in on PvP, but it was like, hey man, this stuff is exciting right here, man. This is cool, and I'm
Yep.
like, I wasn't even, I'm like, awesome, that's awesome. They were just
Yeah.
giving their take on, why it was good for them. And I'm like, oh, cool, man. It's more people discovering the game. You would think everyone knows about it, but they don't.
No,
They
they
don't.
don't. And I mean, I think what's kept Star Citizen going is that it is a very unique idea. Like, or maybe not a unique idea, but they're actually executing it.
They're executing it.
Yeah, like for example, the original vision for Star Citizen was basically what Starfield turned into, but because of the planetary tech stuff, um,
Oh, that was the game
they
changer.
yeah, I really think that if they didn't make that decision to make landable planets, like you could basically like roam around everywhere in the
Yeah.
verse,
Oh,
it
yeah.
would have just died when Starfield came out.
Yeah. I think it would have faded out for sure.
Yep.
But I think that's the one constant that makes and it makes and breaks Star Citizen is that tech that will allow you to literally travel, man. And it's just that is a sci-fi dream. That is
Yes.
a space game dream to know that you're able to do this in game, and there's no cut
Hmm.
screen associated. You actually go out there and you're living that space life.
Yep. And we're so close. I mean, the
Yeah,
fact is that server meshing worked. It's working. We don't talk about it anymore. That's how good it's working.
yeah. I know. I dude. I literally said it's more of a thing of if something isn't working right, people are screaming their heads off. But if it's something
Yep.
that is consistent, that we should say, "Great job, CIG," it goes on silent, deaf ears. It's not promoting subs or clicks because that's not news. That's nothing to be getting upset about. So why bring that up?
Yep. Yeah. And it's also human nature to, you know, ignore the things that happen that go right and then complain
Yeah,
about the things that
yeah,
aren't.
for
So,
sure. And I stopped for a moment and said, hey, I got to give them props for that. Literally, I have to give them props for that.
yep. Yeah, I mean, no one talks about it because it works so well, and you know, it hasn't been that long since server meshing was put in either. So,
I said, give credit where credit is due, and I did. I did because I
yeah,
think
for sure.
it was a real good thing to see that, and it's been for them. And I think Ty mentioned too, from 4.0 with the jump
Mhm.
points to where it is now, it's light
Oh
years
yeah,
ahead. Light years ahead. It's so freaking
yep.
consistent that if you're not getting into Pyro, you need to check. You need to get rid of that 10-year-old computer.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's gonna be the challenge is trying to make people understand that that it's not gonna work on your potato computer.
Yeah, and
Um,
they will never admit that, man. They're not going to admit that to you, but you're going to get that complaint as if they have a 5090 up in their
mhm.
house, running it on a.
Yes.
I mean, like, oh really? Uh-uh. No, no, no.
Yep.
How
Yep.
long you had this computer? 10 years, man. And this this game is not working right. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I think I
Yeah.
know
I mean, the
what the
good thing is,
problem is.
yeah, for sure. And but the good thing is, it does work fairly stable for a lot of people now. So I mean, the changes they made have worked. They're working. I think now people are just getting frustrated with, you know,
Where is it? The
like the things that
deliverables.
don't work.
It's the things that don't work. I think they need to continue to squash those things,
Mhm.
but also we need to see progress towards 1.0.
Oh,
We
absolutely.
we're not
Yep.
going to get everything because we got two more patches and some hot fixes and a virtual citizen con between that.
Yep.
Uh, because of the time frame and what's all needs to be done. No flight model. I say bear down and grit and deal with it, man, because it might be a snoozer.
Mhm.
Star Citizen might take a hit on people not engaging because lack of content, lack of foundational pieces that should be in the game, but it's not there because due to, as you said, Squadron 42.
Yep. I mean, this is why it's a perfect time to just eat a little crow and just be like, you know what, this Star Citizen or SitCon is just going to be. We're going to tell you we're going to tell you all the progress on all the major
Yeah,
systems.
yeah, that makes
Uh,
sense.
so, as in like not planetary systems, but like base building and economy and stuff like that. And I literally think like it's only going to be a day, and that day is probably going to be like maybe 5 hours. I guess I don't know.
For the entirety of
Just
it because it's only going to be, it's not a
yeah,
2 day event anymore. It's one.
no, yep. At most, it's going to be 8 hours, right? Like I can't
Yeah,
see
at
it
the
going.
max. Yeah, 8 hours. I see a max. I would,
Yeah. Mhm.
Simpasta. I would have no problem if they themed it or titled it "The Continued Path Towards 1.0." That's
Oh,
the first
absolutely. That's a
half.
great title. Yep.
First half, second half, or let's say 3/4 of it will go into the path to the continued path. I better get my shit. The continued path to 1.0.
Yeah.
And that that last quarter of it would be, hey, Squadron 42 status. And then they have video. Henry Cavill shows up. The Cavill comes in, and they say, "Hey, get ready. You're going to be blown away. You won't
Yep.
believe this when you see it." And there you have the release date, December 31st, 2026.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's something that I just thought of while you're talking that I don't think people are thinking of is when Squadron 42 does drop. I think you were going to see months of at least a quarter of no one really playing Star Citizen because they're playing Squadron 42.
Oh, you're gonna have the boneheads wanting to get the clicks and the subs because they're out there. The content creators, they
Yep.
are literally putting it on stream. They're going to do that.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna be that
Which,
person. Yeah.
and which is fair enough. I think everyone is. But
Oh
that
yeah.
also means once Squadron 42 drops, I don't even think CIGs may be thinking of this. Is what's the engagement on Star Citizen? So basically, there may be a 3 to 4 month period where they could drop stuff, but no one's going to really be playing it potentially. So,
Right. Um,
but I guess we'll find out. That'll be basically it's going to be a new dynamic.
I think they have the opportunity to work. I would say keep the narrative on 1.0. That's all they need to
Yeah.
do.
You
Stay on point, getting that content to that area where it needs to be because um, once we're done with Squadron 42, at least chapter 1, we're going to be out there looking at, well, hell man, we're done with chapter 1. Where are we at with the persistent universe? It's still the
Yeah.
same way?
Yep. Yep.
No, we can't have that.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Which then it's like they need to at least in I don't know Evo or something have like dynamic server meshing in and like some of these other core things in, even if it's not released to everyone.
Yeah, they may go the route of if that core engine is not
Mhm.
ready or those parts aren't ready. I think the low hanging fruit will be the tech preview of Nyx.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
Nyx will kind of like create a buzz to say, "Oh, this is the next location. I need to go there and see what's going on with it."
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. It'll be interesting. And then they really do need to merge this into the main branch.
Yeah. Yeah, I
I
keep
really,
saying, we don't
yeah,
hear much of Benoit, but that's a good
we
thing.
don't, yeah. Yep. Yeah, that means he's busy. Oh, I really do think, unfortunately, that when they do merge into the main branch,
Hmm.
a lot of old bugs are going to come back. I really do feel that.
Oh, you think it's going to be a dumpster fire everywhere?
Unfortunately, yeah, it's just because it's
Mm,
been like a year and a half since they merged it back in. That's like years. That's like it's like dog years for software.
yeah. Holy smokes, man.
Yeah, like usually, when people check code out to make their own branch, it's like a few months and they merge it back in. So it's easy to keep track of the changes, but with all the changes that have happened,
That's a
uh,
lot.
yeah, it just comes back to what I was trying to say over chat, which was earlier, which was they'll inevitably have places where that section of code was changed both by multiple people. Like either the people who worked on Squadron 42 changed that section, and now Star Citizen people, like devs, changed it. Now, how do you determine what's the right
Oh,
code?
yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Unless but see, they haven't been merging it in continuously because they basically decided leave the main branch for Squadron 42 because that's where Vulcans really needed, and
Yeah.
they needed to work out some issues, and just keep development going on with in the 4.2 branch. So
Yeah.
the only saving grace is if like the Vulcan stuff and a lot of the major stuff doesn't touch any of the Star Citizen code.
Mm,
Then you're fine, because if it's like completely different sections of the code, then you're good. But
yeah. Do you think this is something that Benoit will be aware of, or is this something he's been on board? He's been on board as the CTO, and it's happened while he was on his watch before. That's what I'm wondering. More than likely, yeah, because he did the 4.0 stuff.
yeah, it's probably on his watch. I just think they had to make a decision, and they're kind of kicking the can down the road.
Yeah,
I'm sure they're just as anxious to get it merged because
yeah.
it's a big merge.
Do you think, matter of fact, do you think because of this, what you're talking about, they are putting in preparations to shore up their branch?
I think so. Yeah, I'm sure they are.
But yeah, there may be some cases of, well, you know what? I don't think they want that anymore. That when they went and did the 4.0 and merged, and it was a dumpster fire. I think that alone will, because of you saw Benoit, when
Mhm.
he was saying, he literally said, it's a dumpster, it's a fire everywhere.
Yep. Well,
I don't
and
think
that's
he
what I
wants to
kind of
go through
predict for
that.
this.
I say again,
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't think he wants that either. But the problem is, just like how that merge was a dumpster fire,
yeah,
then that code was only a different branch for like a few months or a year or half a year or something like that. 4.2 has been going on for a while now.
whew,
I mean, we may be coming up to like a year, like in the 4.0 branch.
uh huh,
And if they don't start making preparations to merge it, if they don't, okay, I guess this is how I think of it. If they don't have a team already merging it or like finding
yeah,
the trouble spots,
yeah,
it'll be a dumpster fire when they do actually merge it.
yeah,
Because that's just the nature of code. It's not even anyone's fault.
yeah. Hopefully, like you said, they've been through that. They've been through that dumpster fire that was
Yeah.
4.0. They don't want to. Why go through that again? Because that was major. That
Yeah.
was crazy. I mean, like, no, we don't want to. And I think that would be 100% consensus of everybody, all, you know, all boots on the ground, all hands on deck, just to get your code up to snuff because we don't want that to happen again. I think it will be
Yeah.
different. I think it will be different because they actually went in and that hit them hard. And to
Yeah.
say, based on what you're saying, it has the potential to hit them harder because it was way out of whack for so much time. Oh no,
Mhm.
they don't want to do that. They don't want to do that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you're right. I'm sure they put in processes and code reviews and things like that.
Yeah, tools to catch that stuff.
Yeah, so you already have differential tools that like basically look at both sides of the code, like the
Yes.
main branch and the other branches, and they basically tell you what's different. So that's not the challenging part. The challenging part is when a change has been made by multiple people in the same section of code,
Ouch. So what do
because
you
then it's
keep?
like,
Yeah, what do you keep?
yeah, because like let's say you have a master branch, which is, the main branch, and you have developer one and developer two, and they happen to work on the same section of code.
Mm,
You have to have a code review then, because you have to bring
yeah,
both developers in and say, okay, well, you didn't know the other person was going to write this, and they didn't know they're going to write this, and what problems are you trying to solve?
yeah.
Um,
I guess
so
it's dependent on the person too and their like we talk about reputation. It's based upon their acumen and how
mhm.
reliable of a developer they are. So they're going to probably heed the advice of the senior person who's writing the code or who knows, yeah, you can trust my code or we can trust his or her code
Yeah,
without a
yep,
doubt. And they're going to go that route. I think they've gotten to a point where they know the levels of skill sets out there, and they're going to defer with no problems. Of, oh, we're going to defer over to her. We're going to defer over to him on this one, right?
yeah,
And
which
if
will be good.
yeah,
Yeah,
that'll be good. And if there's anything that's that's odd after that that decision is made, oh, I can take care of that. I'll fix. I'll hot. It's going to come in a hot fix. But we don't
yep.
want to go back to a 4.0 experience and Benoit's getting on the video talking about there's a fire everywhere. I'm so damn tired.
Oh yeah, we don't want that. I think you're right. They've
Yeah,
learned.
yeah, they've
Um,
learned the lesson. If
yeah,
they go back and they're doubling down on that same thing, they've learned nothing. They've learned nothing.
but I like to give them a benefit of the doubt there. I'm sure
Yeah,
they have. I mean, they made changes, like
yeah,
noticeable
yeah,
operations changes. So,
exactly.
uh,
And they're
to be
getting
honest,
yeah.
oh, sorry,
To
go ahead.
be honest, what?
Oh, I mean, just the last thing on that was just, uh, it's not even their fault. It's just the nature of code and time.
Hmm.
So if they have a
Yeah,
lot of areas that are overlapped, then that just means you have to do more code reviews, which means more developers waste time in meetings
yeah,
trying to figure out. So hopefully that's to a minimum, and if that is, then we should be fine. But
yeah.
it's never zero, that's for sure.
Oh no, it's not gonna.
Especially the
You want to
longer it goes.
minimize. Yeah, you want to minimize it.
Yeah.
But I think it's going along the paths of how they're collaborating and working together as a team because of what's in front of them, which is the release of Squadron 42. So they're treating this as an all hands on deck approach of, the narrative is, hey, let's get this stuff cleaned up. There's a reason why we're here and why we have to do this. We got to get this cleaned up.
Yep. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, hopefully it won't be a 4.0 type issue, but uh, this also gives them a chance to make like three different branches going forward, as in
Yeah.
like not branches, but three like PU, tech preview, and something else.
Yeah, I wonder if they will get to a point prior, like you make this good point up, and the closer they get to 1.0, will it be at some point where they clean those branches up, clear them up, and everyone has a clean branch to work from once they drop so many features? That would be cool to
So
do.
what you normally do is every time there's a release, um, you merge everything for that. Like if it's a minor release, like a point patch,
Yeah,
whoever needs to merge in merges in, then everyone resyncs the code down, and then they have to go through and take the time to see what's what they're conflicting with, basically.
yeah,
um and the code, I mean, the tools do it for you, but you still have to go look at it. But
yeah,
whenever it's a major one, like from 3 to 4 or 4 in this case to 1,
yes,
it's everyone's merged everything into the main branch, and that is number 1 now. And
yeah,
any new development, like you re check out from that main branch now.
yeah. I think it's worth doing that. I mean, because of where they are and what it
They have
means
to do it,
to, yeah,
yeah.
they have to do it. But I mean, really make that uh, clear and very focused because of what's to come, what's coming down the
Hmm.
pipeline. They really got to dial that in and get ready to know that, hey, we got to do this because um, we got so many irons in the fire. We don't have time to be playing around with this code and having to go back and make all these changes.
Yep.
I think it's getting to that. And I think Chris is getting to a point where he's like, yeah, we got to get this together, y'all, because
Yep. Yep.
pressure's on me with Squadron 42. And last thing I need to do is try to, be involved with the PU. I put it into your hands. I know you can do this. We're adults. Let's just do it, man.
Yep.
And I think what's at the end of the road for them, at the end of the tunnel, is a good time off, a time to just reflect and relax, man, for a bit.
Hmm.
I think that's
Oh
the
yeah,
incentive
absolutely.
for them. Yeah, that's the incentive for them. Getting
Yeah.
across
Yeah.
that bridge.
Yep.
But
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're tired as well. So
yeah, they wore out, man. I mean, it's like, wow, how much how much can you take? And then you're gonna
yeah,
go back and have to do all that stuff with the code again. It's like, no way. Don't have time for that.
yeah, for sure.
But I think they'll be. I think they've learned some things over the recent past with what they were doing with these branches and what's at stake here. There's a lot at stake here.
Yeah,
We got to get
yeah, I agree.
1.0 going. We got to get it to a point of, okay, what's the countdown? What are the things we knocked out? But
Yeah, yep, yep,
on our end, we just got to be even more patient because they're rounding up, getting around getting to that finish line for one major, release, which is Squadron 42. But after
yeah,
that, it's like they got to really double down and really start working on the PU as we know it. That's a
yep,
lot. It's a lot, man. We're not gonna get out of these conversations and say that, hey, everything is peachy clean. Um,
yeah. It's still gonna be a while,
there's gonna be
unfortunately.
levels of frustration on everybody's minds, and these conversations of us talking about when is it, what's going on, hey, what is it, conspiracy theory behind this? We're gonna keep having these conversations, man, until they drop
Yep.
something that says, okay, this is what we're talking about. This is good to see. It's just gonna happen. It's the nature of the beast.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing again that they need to do is just communicate more.
That's key. That's key to
Yeah,
all of it.
yeah.
Um,
I mean,
and the more they don't, the more people are going to speculate of what's going on and not really understand until they tell us. And then
yep,
even then, we're going to look at them and say, "Are you sure? Is this actually is this really the case?"
yep, yeah. That's the unfortunate part is that
Yep. And so
um,
I'll see it. I'll believe it when I see it.
yep.
You're going to get a lot of
But
that.
yeah, unfortunately. But let's see. I mean, they've come this far, so I'm
Yeah,
sure it'll be an adventure if nothing else.
yeah. I think it's just gonna when it's ready, it's ready.
Yep,
That's the thing Jared goes with. Um, when he goes with it, he's like, it's when it's ready, it's ready.
yep.
Yeah, man. Whew,
It's just the
something else.
communication part.
Yeah,
But
yeah. We definitely need
all
the
right,
communication. Yep.
yeah, for sure.
But Chimpasta, I'm gonna call it. I gotta get
Yeah,
ready,
me too as
man.
well.
It's a super early one. But yeah, I'm gonna be ready by Wednesday evening, man. To get back in, and hopefully we get some news as early as tomorrow, man, about 4.2.1, I think. they drop that, and we get some sort of announcement. And oh man, I'm waiting on the roadmap. I'm hoping it shows something really, really substantial.
Yeah, that'd be
That
cool.
would
Yeah.
be cool. That would be
And
cool.
it's also 4th of July on Friday, so that's another plus.
Yeah, that means people will be home, and yeah.
Yep.
So
All right, Kimmy.
Stormbreaker, yes sir.
Yep.
Stormbreaker and the weapons. That's the only thing that's left on the roadmap. So I think they're just going to finish those, commit to those two things, and then that's 4.2.
I think so. Yeah, I think that they're probably trying to really push to get it out this week, this like Tuesday or Wednesday, because it's 4th of July weekend. They want people playing.
Yeah, I mean yeah, that would be a letdown if they did not get that out and people
Yeah.
are home, they have time off, and what? We're still using 4.1? Come on now.
Yeah.
So the core tech was rain. We're getting dynamic rain, and that's the Genesis system.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's
they are
on the
starting to put Genesis in.
yeah, that's 4.2. Yeah, and it's already committed. So they
Yeah.
might space it out to Area 18. We may see rain in Area 18 in Lorville and
Wow, okay,
possibly
nice.
Orson. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that's a part of it. Genesis, real-time simulation of weather fronts on planetary scale, including rain, wind, and thunder. So they already have that.
Mhm.
The Genesis
Yeah, which is
dynamic
definitely good.
weather. Yep.
Yep.
So that's one thing on the 1.0 narrative. I'm looking at it now. Planetary Tech 5, Stark Attack, uh, ground locations based on environmental and designer data to populate the world of Star Citizen at an unprecedented scale, which I think they may need dynamic for it. I don't know.
Mhm.
Global illumination, star audio, dynamic server meshing, realistic audio mode, content instancing, that's the lower depths of Area 18, Star Sim, that is what we were talking about, the simulated economy system,
Yep.
Starware, that's going to be an easy one with the cloth and the armor combination. Um, what else? I did say planetary tech because that's high on my list.
Yep.
Gameplay, quantum travel, the guild system. That's going to be interesting. That's going to be a big one too. That's a big ticket item right there. Insurance, taxes, and warranty, law and security, which men notice they've been ramping up. They talked about Stanton being more guarded now. So
Mhm.
that's probably a pillar for 1.0. That's another one. Reputation version 2. New player professions. I can only imagine what that is. Death of the Spaceman, that's going to be the last thing. It better be. AI Blades, they introduced one. Item Misfire, I think that could be Maelstrom coming. Fire Hazard, Charge and Drain for energy weapons and items. Life Support, I saw that on the ships. Engineering Gameplay, Solar Flare, Vehicle Radar and Scanning Rework, FPS radar and scanning, in-flight control system and control surfaces, which is part of the flight model, and they've been
Mhm.
giving us little hints of that. That's on the list. Hangar upgrades. Oh my God, we need that. Like we were talking about that how many times today?
Yep.
Weapon overheat, player space stations, crafting, base building, new missions, location repair, player-to-player trading. Okay, we were talking about that.
Yep.
Player organization, social mobiGlas app, citizenship, which will then in turn allow you to build your base anywhere in UEE jurisdictions. Planetary shields, ownership. There it is. And then we have locations, utility tunnels. Under ArcCorp, we talk about that. That's that mission, the lower depths.
Mhm.
Imperial Sports
Yeah.
Federation, racing and such. The council, that's the criminal organization. Mercenary Guild, Academy of Sciences, United Resource Workers, Interstellar Trade Guild, Transport Guild, Building Interiors, Nick System, Castra, Terra, and then mission events is Location Stories, Main Story, Station Warfare. I think the main story will be the titling and the introduction to 1.0, where you
Mm.
walk through the doors and hello, welcome to 1.0. What were you going to say, Shimpasta?
Oh no, I was just agreeing with you. Yeah.
2 years at the least, maybe after Squadron
Yeah.
42.
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
I think
yep.
it would be ready post Squadron 42. Once people are starting to come off of Chapter 1, then they'll go ahead and it's almost like a domino effect. Once Squadron releases, there's a timetable, and then they introduce 1.0.
Yeah, I mean, they already said a lot of this stuff will be post 1.0.
Yeah,
So yeah, that makes sense. Let's see what they can cram in. I mean, it'd
that's a
be nice
lot.
to have like some basic base building this year, like
Yeah,
just even if it is one building.
the
Um,
BLD, the small um, base,
yeah,
the
like the
tiny
push
ones.
cart or
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah,
yeah, that would work.
yep. I guess we'll have to see though.
Yeah, we do. All right, sir. Chat. We will be seeing you soon, as early as Wednesday evening.
Already up 07s.
Yes, sir. All right, here we go.
So yeah.
Here we go. Oh sevens. Oh seven.